You've set off every alarm bell. What does this tool actually do?
And I bet you're gonna test it and tear them apart.
Hey, it's Jason Slago with CWR. I am joined by
Brett Chittum with Lawrence Systems.
this is Business Technicalities, changing it up, having me do the beginning today.
You're doing it pretty good, man. You're awesome.
Oh, what do we talk about today?
Well, did you I think we were thinking about quick fixes. I liked what you said about don't get fooled by promises.
Yeah,
So that's pretty cool. Because how many people get fooled by, oh, my gadget can do
yeah,
just magic.
yeah. I mean, this is a topic that is pretty near and dear to me. I've been doing a reasonable amount of speaking on this very subject
Mhm.
here, and I feel like our industry. I'll back up. I feel like our entire human species is befuddled by this desire to just take a pill or buy a thing and widget or something and just have all of their problems go away.
Oh my gosh, yes. It's apparent, and you see that if you're anywhere on social media, you're seeing that special pill. You're seeing do this and you'll lose weight, or you do this and you'll be the best at this.
Yeah, and what I really struggle with it because I feel like the more I hate to use the word desperate, but
Mhm.
at some point it gets there. The more eager somebody gets to close more deals or do the next thing or grow or the harder off they get, the more likely they are to fall for these tactics that I see various people using in an attempt to make you better. Just buy our thing and you'll suddenly be
Right.
better. Do you want to sell for $300 a seat? Things like that.
Yeah, because if you pay me this kind of money,
Yeah,
you'll do it.
yeah. It's
It's crazy.
results not typical.
Well, I think we've fallen into that trap here
Mhm.
because one of the things with the new NIST guidelines with CMMC, we've been trying to, enhance our stack more to fit and mold into that. And I've
Yeah,
asked you a lot of questions, and I'll ask you, what about this program? And you're like,
yeah.
no, don't do it.
You
Don't.
ask me a lot about those things, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
we as part of this we should talk about the way we decide whether or not we're going to use a new
Hmm.
tool.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I mean, I'll
Well,
start with I replied to I think it was Matt Topper. He's now with ConnectWise. Posted something about this very topic recently on LinkedIn, and it got me thinking through. I watch TV in the evening with my wife a lot of times. Is like kind of our wind down activity, right?
yeah.
It's the end of the day. I think I told you some of this. We're binge watching like
Mhm.
NCIS at the moment,
Yep.
right? So, good show. It's mindless. It's episodic, right? Like it
Hmm.
doesn't. I can pseudo pay attention while I do my journaling or whatever. But man, TV commercials, they're terrible. It's constantly, especially like in the evening, it's just constantly a barrage of hair loss products and drugs and weight loss stuff. And it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's going on under there too. And some of them are rooted in a little bit of science and some of them
Yeah.
work. But there was a study recently that God, I can't remember where I came across it. It was maybe Wired that indicates that the drugs you tend to see advertised on TV statistically have a lower efficacy than drugs that don't advertise on TV because if a drug
Really.
works really well, they don't need to advertise. The
Yeah.
doctors will prescribe it, right? So the drugs that are advertising on TV are largely doing it to try to flip that narrative and get the patients to ask for it rather than the doctors to recommend
Right.
it. Uh,
That
right?
makes sense. That does. If you're doing a good job or if what your product does works,
Yeah.
people are gonna find out about it whether you're
Yeah.
spending millions of dollars in advertising or not.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get over some name brand recognition, but like
Mhm.
traditionally, when you talk about drugs, doctors they go to school and spend a lot of time, and I don't want to get into a whole debate as to whether they know everything about everything, but they would
Mhm.
typically prescribe the drug that they thought would be the best. And there's always been this back alley. My wife's a pharmacist. They don't really have that much of it, but they used to get taken out to these really nice dinners all the time because the pharmaceutical reps, would
Yep.
try to, they're trying to sway the doctors or the pharmacists to recommend one product over another. But it doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't necessarily equate to success, but the real one is like the weight loss one, right? Like you
Right.
see all of these advertisements for weight loss stuff, and if you look at the fine print at the bottom of almost every one of those ads, it'll say with changes to diet and exercise. Guess
Yeah.
what's actually causing you to lose weight? Changes to
Changes the
diet and
diet.
exercise.
Well, so I mean, let's talk about some of the things that we choose to use or choose not to use. And when we you go to IT Nation, DattoCon,
Yeah.
Channel Pro, you go to all these different conferences and find that there are 100 vendors out there, and half are doing the same thing, or they're in. So how, as an MSP, what's an MSP to do to figure out what's going to be the best for their stack?
Learn.
Yeah,
uh, right. So you have to be able to define the problem segment, right? Like, what are you
right.
actually trying to solve for? If you don't buy a solution in search of a problem,
Yeah.
right? So it's like you kind of talked about this earlier, right? Like you as you grow your stack and you align more with NIST and CMMC, you're like, well, I'm missing this component of what I'm doing, so I want to go out and buy a tool that does that thing. Understand what you actually have to do that thing, because you may actually be able to get your RMM tool to do it, for instance, right? You
We
may
had
not
this
need it
exact
yourself.
conversation. We
Yeah.
did when we were talking about GPO, right? I'm not going to mention any companies, but we were talking about GPO, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can totally get, there are methods to import GPO. There are methods to configure all
Mhm.
of that stuff directly in the registry. There are methods to do it via PowerShell, right? And there are many, many ways that you can use your RMM to just do that for you. And you don't need, right? Go visit our good friend Kelvin,
Yep.
our Tegalar. Can't say his last name.
That's
You gotta
okay.
cough more when you say it. It's cyber drain, right? And take
Yeah.
a look at some of his stuff. So a lot of this problem set, he's automated.
Hmm.
And that's not to say that you shouldn't buy a tool, right? But once you understand the problem set really well, then look at the ROI around the tool you're going to buy. Like,
Right.
is it, how much tech time is it going to save? Is it cheaper for you to buy the tool than it is to train up, support, and build your own thing? And the answer to that is often yes. Uh,
Yeah.
but you really have to consider whether or not it solves enough use cases to do it, because each of these tools comes with increased security risk,
Hmm.
right? Like it
Yeah.
increases your attack surface and it increases the complexity of what you're doing, right? So you have to consider
Right.
all of those things before you pick one.
No, I get it. I think we tend to forget that the RMM tools are bigger than we allow them to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Calvin, he's I went to a class in his at DattoCon, I think, and you actually prepped him very well for that class, by the way, and
Prepped.
yeah, prepped,
Morning
and
beer.
he talked about his scripting and what he's developed,
Yeah.
that it's if we just take the tools that people are giving us and handing us for free, I like that, don't get fooled by promises, because
Yeah.
everyone's going to promise that theirs is the best thing, but
Yeah.
what truly is?
I mean, there's one going around, right? And I get it all the time. Let's see, I don't have it. I'm not going to bother screen sharing right now, but I'm tempted to keep like a hall of shame or wall of
Yeah.
shame on these sorts of things, right? Because I literally got an email from a company saying EDRs can't stop all threats. Our tool can, was like in a nutshell what it was saying. So I'm like,
All
are
threats.
you kidding me? You've like literally set off every alarm bell in my head now. So I'm like, what does this tool actually do? It
And
does
I bet you you're going to test it and tear them apart and figure it out,
well, it
right?
does canary files, right? So basically it drops files on the desktop. If they get encrypted, then it takes action. In this case, it takes really crappy action. It shuts the machine down. So it basically wipes any in-memory forensic evidence, and it
Oh.
sends you an alert. It doesn't network isolate. It doesn't do any of the things. But you know, if you were naive and you were fooled by these promises that these companies make, you'd be like, man, yeah, I totally am going to add that thing to my
Mhm.
are because
Right.
it doesn't stop all things. And this is another layer of defense. I have 3 other tools that we deploy that can do the same thing. It's just
Yeah.
an added feature. I've been pretty, I think you guys use Hunters too, right? It
Yep.
for sure can do that. And it's a better implementation than what this third party standalone product does.
Isn't that
Uh,
crazy how that works?
yeah, I have a tool for my RMM that does it, and then one other tool that can do it too. It's crazy.
It's knowledge is power, right? The more you understand, the better informed you can be when you're meeting with these vendors and trying to figure out what's going to be your best tool to use in your application, right? Because and not every company needs everything in your stack, correct?
Yeah,
I mean,
for our security stuff, it's pretty non-negotiable.
yeah. No, no, you have set up something that's pretty. I mean, you could take and sell exactly what you do and make a lot of money if you could teach MSPs on that.
I'll defer to you a little bit here. I think that extends. We've kind of, you're looking at our ideas list here, right? Like we've kind of trenched onto the one above this in the list here, which is talking about tooling and when to buy a tool.
Mhm.
I want to say that this concept, it doesn't apply to just tools and things you buy, right? Because
Right.
there are so many business coaches and sales consultants and all these other
Mhm.
things out there that will teach you the way to sell. You know what? Sales is a learned skill. I do believe that.
Mhm.
As a sales guy, you can
I
tell me if
agree.
I'm right about that.
No, I totally agree. I'm always learning about it.
However, you have to a large extent, find your own way, right? Like the way that somebody sells, if somebody sells successfully and you don't fully believe and buy into it, then that caution or
Mhm.
pessimism, I guess is the word, maybe,
Right.
is going to come across in your sales pitch.
Yeah.
And so, there's a bunch of them out there. What made this topic appear in our list of topics to talk about was an experience.
Well, so I receive an email, and it's definitely it's an email that is definitely form. It's an easy, quick couple sentence form email saying, we can help you, grow your MSP and what are the things you're doing. And I responded pretty curtly. I said, look, we're getting about 15 leads per day from our YouTube channel and closing at about 88%. Can you beat that? Of course, no response.
Yeah.
But you get a quick email like that, and let's say it's he caught you in that right time of your mindset, and you go, yeah, I need that. Oh my gosh, click, yes, let's talk. And then all of a sudden, a month later, you're paying some amount per month to learn a cookie cutter approach that may not even fit the way you're going to do things anyways. It has to fit with you. Any sales process has to be wrapped around the people you have doing the process
Yeah.
and how you can manage that process.
Yeah,
It's
in
no
the
cookie
case
cutter.
of the particular process I know you're speaking of, right? Like, while I do believe it's probably relatively effective,
Mhm.
it comes with very real risks because you're selling on a promise of like we're security experts and we have everything here and we have ducks in a row. And if you make statements like that in your sales process, you better be sure they're true, or you're
Yeah.
gonna be for some point in for a world of hurt.
Oh,
We don't
absolutely.
tend to say things like that. We say we'll give you the best absolute, what we feel is the absolute best coverage we can give you against
Mhm.
security threats. We've had really good luck so far, but inevitably at some point or another that luck will run out and we're going to have some sort of issue. But we're going to
Yeah.
put you in the best position possible to recover from it.
We talk about best efforts, right? Best efforts is, and you can never say, I think never, always, and our two words should never be used in a sales pitch, right?
Yeah.
Um,
We're never describing a sentence that you should say never.
yeah, you should say never, never, never use never, and never use always in a sales pitch, right? That's terrible. That's so bad. I don't know how to make that right, but it's true because you're threat actors out there are going to get through something, right?
Yeah.
I think we're going a little off topic, but it's true. I think it's based on your knowledge and understanding that there are a lot of people out there
Yeah.
in business that want you to pay them money in your
Yep.
business.
Yeah,
And
and just understand that people selling these, especially those
mhm,
processes like of growth, they are polished salespeople that are really good at what they do, and they could sell literally anything. So
yeah,
you're being sold, right?
yeah,
Like
you're being sold.
and if you were as good as they were at selling, you wouldn't need them.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
understand that you're being sold, and sometimes that's okay, and sometimes you can decide independently through data that that is a tool that would be useful for you, and you're willing to commit and you're willing to do the things necessary to change. But if
Mhm.
you're not, and you are sold just because you're sold, you're going to lose a ton of money.
I totally agree. When I did business consulting, I was not a long-term business consultant. I didn't. I came in first day with a person I was going to start consulting with, and I said, in the next 3 to 4 sessions, we're going to get this figured out, and you shouldn't need me anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. At some point, you shouldn't need somebody. So when you talk about sales, you shouldn't be paying somebody a monthly fee for infinity to learn a process or get
Yeah.
things. You should be able to get something from somebody in 2 to 3 sessions and be able to run with that, modify it to what your standards are and the way you do things, and
Yep.
move on. That's the
And
way I
then
believe.
if you need more info, come back for another 3 or 4 more sessions once
Yeah.
it's approved, right? Like, yeah, I'm a huge fan of incremental improvements.
Yeah, you always got to be an active learner. It's
Hmm.
important. We talked about that in the last video, always wanting to learn, but you should be able to be self-sufficient. You don't need to pay somebody a monthly fee to be self-sufficient.
Yep.
In fact, I mean, I will tell you that if you're paying somebody a monthly fee and that's coming out of your bottom line, how much, I mean, are you getting a return on investment? That's
Yeah.
another thing. Are you getting a return on investment on what you're paying in fees every month?
Yep, we've cut most of those. We had various
Mhm.
consultants that we've cut a lot of them now because of that.
Yeah, it's
So
about ROI. At the end of the day, it's about return on investment. Don't get fooled by that promise, of we're the best, we can do it, we can make you the 8-figure income, 8-figure MSP. Okay, I'll just use that word. Don't get fooled by it. I'm not saying don't use it,
you're gonna
just
get
don't
me
get
kicked out of
fooled
his
by it.
Facebook group again.
Well, no, I'm not saying don't use it, right? I mean, because for some people, their processes work. I know
Yep.
some people have gone through it and are doing quite well, but it's not for everybody. And
Yeah.
you as a business owner out there need to figure out what's best for you.
Yeah. So I think we're supposed to tell people to hit the little button down there to subscribe and do
Like
the
and
like thing.
subscribe.
Yeah. You'll be able to catch me at Write a Boom. It's coming up here in a
Hmm.
couple weeks when this will be posted. And yeah, CCF.
You
I
you
know.
and Tom are going to be at MSP Geek too in
Yeah,
May, I
we'll
think.
be at MSP
Yep.
GeekCon. That's in May. Everyone should come to MSP GeekCon. And the
Yep.
last one, I think Tom and I are both going to CompTIA's Community Council, what CCF. I can't
Yeah.
remember what the F is.
Yeah. You're both on the council there, right?
Yeah, so we're
Yeah.
both going to that here at the beginning of March. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm not traveling for a little while because I got baseball travels. I'm going to baseball traveling. That's what I get to go do.
so catch Brett at a random baseball game.
That's right. A random one. All right, guys.
Okay,
Have a
cool.
good one. Make it a great one.
Yep.